He lost the biggest fight of his life for saving the woman he loves. The movie begins with a boxer named Taigga who is competing fiercely in a tournament. He defeats his opponent and wins the fight. Meanwhile, in the same city, Desola and Hadiza are chatting. Desola tells Hadiza that he has informed his parents about her. Hadiza feels uneasy, thinking his parents may not like her. Desola reassures her by telling her she is attractive, and she begins to blush as the moment continues. Back to Taigga, in the dressing room, his manager arrives with Mr. Elvis, who runs an agency for boxers. Mr. Elvis is interested in Taigga and wants him to represent his agency in the upcoming Man of the Year tournament fight. Taigga agrees to sign with the agency. Later that night, Taigga is unable to sleep. He looks disturbed and restless. A few days later, Taigga and his manager visit Mr. Elvis to discuss his contract. While they are talking, Mr. Elvis's daughter, Hadiza, walks in. Her father stops her, and Taigga looks at her and notices that her face seems familiar. He suddenly recalls a flashback of when he tried to save her from being harassed by another man, but instead of appreciating him, she insulted him. Back to the present, Mr. Elvis introduces Hadiza to his guests. Hadiza rudely stares at Taigga, greets only his manager, and walks away. Mr. Elvis and his family later have lunch with Taigga and his manager while discussing Taigga's contract. Hadiza feels irritated by how her father treats Taigga with special attention. Her father quickly changes the topic, and they all cheer to Taigga's contract signing. The next day, Taigga's manager advises him to see a doctor for his insomnia. Taigga insists that he is fine, but his manager remains worried and asks when last he had a good night's sleep. Taigga replies that it was when he was 10 years old. His manager becomes deeply concerned. Taigga tells him he will seek help when he is ready, and they leave for training. At the gym, Hadiza is surprised to see Taigga's manager. She pretends not to notice Taigga and tells the manager that she comes to the gym to train. Taigga chuckles, and Hadiza assumes he is mocking her statement. They exchange a brief argument before she walks away to her corner. Taigga's manager later asks him why he acted that way toward Hadiza. Taigga replies that she is rude, and he simply wanted to give her a taste of her own medicine. Later that same day, Hadiza and Desola argue inside his car. Hadiza tells him she dislikes the way he shouts at her in public. Desola responds in a narcissistic manner, saying he can correct her anywhere and anytime. Their argument escalates, and in anger, Desola pushes Hadiza out of his car. Hadiza arrives home upset, and her mother is unhappy that Desola dropped her by the roadside. Hadiza defends Desola, claiming she was the one who angered him. Her mother is displeased that Hadiza keeps excusing Desola's bad behavior. Hadiza insists it is just a flaw and nothing more. Her mother believes Hadiza is tolerating him because he is a major investor in her father's business, and she feels indebted to him. Hadiza explains that Desola stood by her when her ex left her at the altar, and she is determined to stand by him in return. Her mother is shocked and disappointed by her words. The next morning, Taigga wakes up beside a woman. They talk about the night they spent together, and the woman asks if they can be in a relationship. Taigga tells her she is just a friend and nothing more. The woman wants more than friendship and begins talking about marriage and the children they would have. Taigga only smiles at her. Later at the gym, Taigga tells his manager about the woman who talked about marriage, saying he has decided not to see her again. At the same time, Hadiza is training but is boxing incorrectly. Taigga's manager asks when he plans to be friends with Hadiza. Taigga says he cannot be friends with her because she is rude, and the manager excuses himself. Taigga notices Hadiza's mistakes and approaches her to teach her a few boxing techniques. She tells him to mind his business. He then notices a tattoo on her neck and tells her he likes it. He shows her that he has the same tattoo on his chest. Hadiza asks what the tattoo means to him, and Taigga replies that it represents strength. Taigga asks her the same question, and she says it means strength to her as well. Taigga explains that he got the tattoo after escaping his abusive father. Hadiza reveals that she got hers when her ex left her at the altar. They chat for a while, but when Taigga asks for her contact, she refuses and walks away. Later that day, Desola visits Hadiza's father to complain that Hadiza has been ignoring him. Her father gives him permission to discipline her. When Hadiza arrives, her father sides with Desola, but Hadiza tells him how Desola pushed her out of the car. Desola claims he did it because she was nagging. He later calms down, apologizes, and begs for forgiveness, which Hadiza accepts. Desola then tells her father that he plans to invest more in his business. That night, during dinner with Taigga present, Hadiza reaches for wine. Desola stops her, saying it is wrong for a woman to drink when a man is present. Feeling embarrassed, Hadiza stands up to leave, but Desola grips her hand tightly. She tells him she needs to use the restroom and walks away. When Hadiza comes out of the restroom, Taigga confronts her and asks why she allows Desola to treat her badly, telling her that no woman deserves such treatment. Hadiza tells Taigga to mind his business, expresses anger at his interference, and asks him to leave her alone. That night, Hadiza struggles to sleep, troubled by Taigga's words. Meanwhile, Taigga takes his medication to help with his insomnia. The next day, Hadiza comes to confront Taigga and attempts to fight him. Taigga is confused by her behavior and gently holds her back from hitting him. The following day, Taigga sees Hadiza again and they begin to talk. He asks her why she is still with Desola. Hadiza replies that Desola cares about her. Taigga remains silent. She then asks if they can be friends. Taigga is initially shocked but eventually collects her contact. A week later, Taigga is seen at the gym teaching Hadiza how to box. After training, Taigga takes Hadiza to his house, where he explains the history of boxing, tracing it back to the 18th century. Hadiza is impressed by his deep knowledge of the sport. Taigga tells her how much he loves boxing. Hadiza explains that she is learning boxing for self-defense. Taigga compliments her beauty and admits he wishes he had met her first. Later, Taigga prepares a meal for Hadiza and jokingly tells her that if she enjoys his cooking, she must kiss him. Hadiza tastes the food and likes it, but she does not kiss him. That night, Hadiza is unable to get Taigga out of her thoughts and struggles to sleep. The next morning, Hadiza goes out for a jog when Desola pulls up beside her and asks her to enter the car. Inside the car, Desola informs her that they will be attending marriage counseling in preparation for their wedding and that the wedding date has already been fixed. Hadiza is unhappy that Desola made the decision without consulting her, but she has no choice but to accept it. Later that same day, Taigga's manager notices that Taigga has been sleeping well recently and expresses his surprise. Taigga tells him that Hadiza has been visiting his house for the past 2 days, and since then, he has been sleeping soundly without medication. His manager suspects that Taigga has feelings for Hadiza, but Taigga reminds him that Hadiza is engaged. The next day at the gym, Taigga and Hadiza are chatting when Hadiza starts feeling cold due to the weather. Taigga gives her his sweater, and they continue talking. Later that day, Taigga and Hadiza are watching a movie at his house. Hadiza tries to draw his attention to a particular scene, but notices that Taigga has fallen asleep. She is about to wake him when his manager advises her not to disturb him. A few days later, Desola and Hadiza argue over Desola's demand that she delete all her contacts because he does not want her speaking to anyone else. Hadiza refuses, and Desola becomes violent and beats her. Meanwhile, Taigga repeatedly tries to call Hadiza, but his calls are not going through. Hadiza returns home injured, and her mother is furious upon seeing that Desola beat her daughter. She advises Hadiza to end the relationship. Her father insists he will speak with Desola, which angers her mother. She accuses him of choosing greed over his daughter's safety and storms away. Hadiza then tells her father that she wants to leave the relationship. Her father still insists on speaking to Desola and refuses to let her end the relationship, stating that Desola's financial investment in his company is too important. Hadiza is heartbroken that her father chose money over her, and she walks away in disappointment. 2 days later, Hadiza visits Taigga, looking sad and withdrawn. Taigga notices and asks what is wrong, but she remains silent. When Taigga holds her hand, she reacts in pain, and he immediately realizes that Desola has beaten her. Enraged, Taigga goes to Desola's house and beats him. During the confrontation, Hadiza confesses her love for Taigga, telling him that no one has ever made her feel the way he does. They embrace. Later that night, Taigga opens up to Hadiza about his difficult childhood. He explains that his parents were alcoholics who fought daily, forcing him to run away from home at the age of 10. Hadiza also shares that Desola was kind when they first started dating, but his behavior suddenly changed. Taigga reveals that he has suffered from severe insomnia and only began sleeping well after growing close to her. That same night, Taigga escorts Hadiza home and confronts her father, expressing disappointment in him for choosing money over his daughter. Taigga also admits that he beat Desola. Her father reacts angrily and walks away. The next day, Desola approaches Hadiza's father and demands that Taigga's contract be canceled, claiming he cannot endorse someone who assaulted him. Hadiza's father responds that he could tolerate Desola scolding Hadiza, but not physically abusing her. Desola apologizes and promises to invest $500 million in his business if Taigga's contract is canceled. Tempted by the offer, Hadiza's father agrees. The following day, Taigga's manager informs him that his contract has been canceled. Taigga remains calm and states that he plans to sue for breach of contract. His manager explains that it will be difficult since the championship tournament is only a week away and expresses disappointment that Taigga assaulted Desola. The next day, Desola and Hadiza's father meet with the Boxing Association board and falsely accuse Taigga of stalking Hadiza and assaulting Desola. Later that same day, Hadiza shows Taigga the negative comments circulating online about him. Taigga is unconcerned, stating that he acted to protect her and that Desola deserved to be put in his place. Hadiza feels emotional and sits on Taigga's lap. Some days later, Taigga meets with the Boxing Association board and tells them the truth about what happened. The board informs him that he broke the rule by fighting a non-boxer and explains the consequences he must face. They officially disqualify him from participating in the Man of the Year tournament. Taigga pleads with them, but his appeal falls on deaf ears. The next morning, Hadiza argues with her father for choosing money over her safety instead of protecting her from Desola. Later that day, Hadiza goes to see Taigga to encourage him. As they are about to kiss, a woman named Peace suddenly interrupts them, claiming to be Taigga's wife and stating that she has a child for him. She presents evidence to support her claim. Hadiza is shocked and devastated. Taigga tries to explain, but Hadiza refuses to listen. Back at home, Hadiza is heartbroken, and her mother consoles her, while her father vows to deal with Taigga. Meanwhile, Taigga is deeply troubled by everything happening around him and begins to feel like giving up. However, his manager continues to encourage and motivate him. The next day, Desola visits Hadiza to apologize. He tells her that he has started seeing a therapist to address his anger issues. Hadiza initially rejects him, but Desola continues to beg until she reluctantly agrees to give him another chance. That night, Hadiza cries bitterly, torn between choosing Desola or Taigga. Meanwhile, Taigga repeatedly tries to call Hadiza, but she refuses to answer his calls. The following day, Desola takes Hadiza to see his therapist, and she joins him for a counseling session. A few days later, Taigga goes out for a jog and unexpectedly sees Hadiza. He tries to speak with her, but she ignores him and walks away. The next day, Taigga's manager excitedly brings him good news. He informs Taigga that the Boxing Association has reinstated him into the Man of the Year tournament and shows him the official email from the board. At the same time, Peace, Taigga's ex-wife, releases a public video debunking the rumor that she is still Taigga's wife. She confesses that she was paid by certain individuals to lie against Taigga. Hadiza and her mother are present during the recording of the video. Taigga also watches the video and is amazed by how everything is unfolding. First, the board reinstates him, and now Peace is confessing the truth. His manager tells him that it seems God has decided to help him. Shortly after, Hadiza visits Taigga. Taigga apologizes for not telling her about his past. Hadiza then informs him about Peace's video and reveals that her mother discovered that her father and Desola were the ones who paid Peace to set him up. She also reveals that she was the reason Taigga was reinstated into the tournament. Hadiza explains that she agreed to marry Desola only on the condition that Taigga would be allowed back into the competition. Taigga refuses to accept her decision and begs her not to marry Desola, confessing his love for her. However, Hadiza insists she has made up her mind and walks away. A week later, on the day of Hadiza and Desola's wedding, Hadiza steps out to meet her groom. As she stands there, memories of Desola's abuse flood her mind. Overwhelmed, she declares that she cannot marry him. Desola becomes aggressive and threatens her, then slaps her. Hadiza retaliates by striking him back and runs to her room. Enraged, Desola turns to Hadiza's father and threatens to withdraw all his investments from his company. Meanwhile, at the boxing arena, Taigga is battling his opponent fiercely and is being overpowered. Suddenly, he hears Hadiza's voice calling out to him. Filled with renewed strength, Taigga fights back and wins the Man of the Year tournament. Months later, Taigga and Hadiza are happily married. Hadiza is heavily pregnant, and Taigga lovingly professes his love for her as they embrace their new beginning. The moral lesson of this movie is that love should never be built on control, abuse, or greed. True love protects, heals, and empowers, while standing up for what is right, no matter the cost, will always lead to victory in the end. Thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more captivating movies from us. Until we meet again, bye.